I'm sure if someone asked you if you would like to be the absolute best version of yourself, whatever that means to you, that your answer would be yes. For some, this might mean being a multi-millionaire entrepreneur who has a super shredded physique and gets up each morning at 4 a.m. and just takes life by the horns. For others, it could simply mean just being and doing better than you did the day before. And in this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you the 4 most practical ways to becoming your best self starting today. Now, the first step is something that's been talked about by philosophers, by motivators, by even Jesus himself in the Bible. And what Jesus said, and I'm just paraphrasing here, was hit the like button. Yep, hit that big old like button down there because it helps channels like these do better. It helps channels like these be seen by other people. The more ye hit the like button, the more ye shall receive in return. Something along those lines. So if you hit the like button and maybe consider hitting the bell notification button, I would actually really appreciate that. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's proceed. First and foremost, you need to be disciplined. You will not do anything worthwhile in life for a sustained period of time without self-discipline. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that without self-discipline, you won't even be able to finish the rest of this guide. That's how important self-discipline is. The best definition of self-discipline that I've ever come across comes from Brian Tracy. And he says that self-discipline means doing the things you don't want to do, especially when you don't want to do them. Now that last part is everything. Not only are you supposed to do the things that you don't want to do, you're supposed to do them especially when you don't want to do them. This is a tough one for a lot of people because as humans, we are very emotional and very reactionary to the world around us. We're constantly basing our decisions off of how we feel in any given moment. For example, when you wake up, 99% of people feel tired. They don't feel like immediately getting up and going for a run or working out. So they just don't. They do exactly what feels good to them in the moment. And 9 times out of 10, that is reaching for our phones and scrolling through social media, checking the news, checking emails, whatever. Now, there's nothing wrong with this if you're actually happy with your life and happy with the way that things are. But if you're not happy with the way things are and you continue to follow this pattern of behavior, then we can say that there is something wrong with these types of behaviors. But to put things into perspective, let's compare the life of an emotional, reactionary human being to someone who I believe has the most concrete self-discipline in the world, David Goggins. The one thing David Goggins and the emotionally reactive individual have in common is time. And how exactly they use that time is where you start to see the major differences. David Goggins gets up every day around 3 to 4 a.m. and immediately starts his day off with a 15-mile run, followed directly by a 25-mile bike ride. Now, I'm not telling you that in order for you to be your best self that you have to start running 15 miles in the morning followed by a 25-mile bike ride. It's all relative. To someone like David Goggins, he's built up so much mental and physical toughness over the years that his 15-mile run might actually feel like your 2 or 3 mile run. What you actually do isn't the thing that matters the most here. What matters the most is in those moments when your emotions are getting the better of you. They're telling you to do what feels quick, what feels easy, what feels good, that you do the exact opposite of that. You push yourself in the opposite direction even though you don't feel like doing it. That is what self-discipline is all about. The next thing we're going to talk about is the mindset, and more specifically, adopting the marathon mentality. A wise person once said that self-mastery is a lifelong process. And let me reiterate, he is very wise. The great but not so great thing about self-mastery is that you'll never get there. That's the not so great part. But the great part is that if you commit yourself to the lifelong process towards attaining self-mastery, you will infinitely get better. Have you ever seen someone performing at an elite level in any field and been completely mesmerized by this person's talents and abilities? And then you either talk to them because you know them personally, or you see them in an interview because they're a celebrity or they're a world-class athlete. And upon listening to this person talk, you can sense that A, they don't feel like they did anything special, or B, they feel like they let themselves down because they know they could have done better. This is because they know deep down inside, even after all of those hard years of work, that they're nowhere near their best. Kobe Bryant is a prime example of this. Just when you thought Kobe Bryant could not blow your mind any more than he already had, he just kept getting better. And if anyone knows about how self-mastery is a lifelong pursuit, it was Kobe Bryant. No matter how good of a game he had, no matter how many points he scored in a single game, no matter how many championship rings he had, it was never enough for him. Some might say that he was never satisfied, but to those who understand the journey he was on, the journey to becoming his best self, he just seemed like a man who respected the process and journey towards self-mastery. The point that I'm getting at here, and buckle up, is that the process and journey towards life mastery, towards becoming your best self, will last you the rest of your life or until you decide to stop. If you go in expecting quick results, or if you think that you'll be your best self in 10 years or fewer, let me tell you, you're in for a rude awakening. It's helpful to not just picture the road to self-mastery or becoming your best self as a marathon, but you could also compare it to a treadmill. You're always going to be running until basically you press the off button. The next step to becoming your best self is simply accountability. Now, this is a tough one for a lot of people simply because they don't know enough people who are equally motivated and aspiring to become their best selves. But don't let that stop you from trying to find and cultivate a circle of like-minded individuals who can help you along your journey. The biggest working component of accountability is actually peer pressure. Studies have been done to show that people respond very, very well to peer pressure. Back in 2014, a study was done on goal achievement in the workplace. Each of the 272 participants was asked to set goals. At the end of the 4-week study period, the researchers recorded how many people had actually accomplished their goals. Here's what happened. 43% of participants who only thought about their goals, meaning that they didn't write them down, were successful. 62% of people who wrote their goals down, and not only wrote them down, but they shared it with a friend, were successful. Now here's the cool part. 76% of participants who did all of the above, meaning that they shared their goals with someone, they wrote them down, but also had a weekly progress report, were successful. 76%. Let me put this into perspective for you. If we had a 1-mile race consisting of about 30 people, that means that of those 30 people, 22 of them obliterated the competition simply because they not only had a plan, but they were held accountable by their peers to stick to that plan. Now, you might be wondering, where can I find a group of people to hold me accountable? Well, you're in luck, because last year I started a small group called Self-Mastery Camp. It's a group where guys can come and be held accountable to being their best selves by making weekly and monthly goals for themselves. Not only do we make goals for ourselves, but we hold each other accountable to completing each and every one of those goals. Some of the guys that are in that group will tell you that they have had the absolute best and strongest year of their lives. Many of them pushed themselves this year beyond what they thought was possible. And actually, a few of them are still on their longest no-fap streak yet. All because we held each other accountable. We peer pressured each other to doing and completing the things that we said we were going to do. Now, at some point in 2020, I did close the doors to this group, but I'm reopening the doors because I feel like we're at a place where people need it the most. We're entering a new year after having presumably one of the worst years of your lives. So we need this. We have a daily chat as well as we do video calls once per month. If this sounds like the missing piece to your puzzle or the key that you've needed to unlock your true potential, then email me. I'll leave my email in the description. We can talk about how you can join Self-Mastery Camp. And the last, but definitely not the final piece to becoming your best self is setting goals for yourself. So we just talked about having an accountability partner or a group of people who can hold you accountable. But what if you don't have that? Well, you can still hold yourself accountable by creating goals for yourself, and more specifically, writing them down, because it's not enough just to keep your goals stored in your head. It's alarming to know the amount of people who live their days, their weeks, their months, their years without setting not a single goal for themselves. Earl Nightingale put this perfectly when he said that humans are like ships. In order for a ship to reach a destination, it needs a captain, a crew, and more importantly, a map. If you put a ship in the ocean without those things, it would wind up on some shore in some entirely random location. If you don't set goals for yourself, you will forever be a victim to your circumstances. And that is not how you become your best self. That's it. If you not only listen to these guiding principles, but start applying them to your life today, you will be on the fast track to becoming your absolute best self. You'll start each day in a stronger state of mind. You'll be able to say no to all of your toxic vices, all of your bad habits, and you'll just improve the overall quality of your life. The road to self-mastery, the road to becoming your best self is a long and never-ending road, but I guarantee that if you commit yourself, it is worth it every step of the way. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked it, I would really appreciate it that you share this video. It took a lot of time to put this together, and if you like this type of content, let me know in the comment section if this is something that you'd like to see more of. And if you want to show your thanks even further while getting access to videos that I don't post here on YouTube, consider signing up for my Patreon for just $2 a month. A little support goes a long way. Thanks, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.